Welcome everyone to Friday Night Young at Heart, session number 8. I'm Father James DeLucio with the Paulist Fathers, pleased to offer you nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, and such. To keep us all young at heart, tonight, the conclusion, the grand finale of The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen. And if you've missed previous sessions of the Tinderbox, I'm not going to offer a recap, but I'm going to send you to my YouTube channel where you can look up the playlist Young at Heart. If you look in the comment section beneath this video, make sure you click the comment. You will see the link and you can pick up on any of the previous passages that you may have missed. Now, I'll get right to where I left off last time. That night, the soldier felt a strange longing to see the beautiful princess in the brazen castle. The dog was therefore dispatched, who took her again on his back and ran off with her. But the cunning old lady quickly put on a pair of good walking boots and ran after the dog so fast that she caught sight of him just as he was going into the house where the soldier lived. "Aha!" thought the lady in waiting. "All right now. I know where he has gone to." And she made a cross on the street door with a piece of chalk. Then she went back to the palace and lay down to sleep. The dog, too, came back with the princess as before, and when he remarked that there was a cross on the house where the soldier lived, the dog made crosses on all the street doors in the town, which was very clever of the animal, for now the lady would not be able to find the right door again. Early next morning, the king and queen, the old lady, and all the officers of the crown, to ascertain where the princess had gone in the night, arrived. "Here's the house," exclaimed the king, when he saw the first door that had a cross on it. "No, it must be here, dear," said the queen, perceiving the next house with a white cross over the sign. "Here, there, and everywhere are white crosses," cried all, for look where they would, the street doors had white crosses on them, and they now perceived it would be a vain attempt to try and find the right house. The queen, however, was an exceedingly clever woman. Aren't you all? She knew something more than merely how to sit in a carriage with an air, and therefore she soon found out a way how to come on the traces of the dog. She took a whole piece of silk, cut it in two with a pair of scissors, and with the pieces made a bag. This bag she had filled with the most finely sifted flour, and tied it with her own hands round the princess's neck. When this was done, she took her golden scissors and cut a small hole in the bag, just large enough to let the flour run out slowly as the dog carried the princess to wherever. So wherever the princess went, so too the flour. The dog came again in the night, took the princess on his back, and ran off with her to the soldier, who wanted so much only to look at her, and who would have given anything to be a prince. Wouldn't we all? So that he might marry the princess. But the dog did not observe this time that his track from the palace to the soldier's house was marked with the flour that had run out of the bag. On the following morning, the king and queen now saw where their daughter had been and had the soldier arrested and put into prison. There sat our poor soldier, and it was dark, too, in his cell. Besides, the gaoler told him that he was to be hanged on the morrow. That was indeed no very pleasant news for the soldier, or anyone. And more unfortunate than all, he had left his tinder box in the hotel. When day broke, he could see out of his little prison windows how the people were streaming from all over the town to see this execution. He heard the drums beat. He saw the soldiers marching to the spot where the scaffold was erected. Among the crowd, he spied a little apprentice who was in such a hurry that the boy lost one of his shoes just as he was running past the prison. "Hallo, little man!" cried the soldier to the boy. "You need not be in such a hurry, for nothing can be done until I come. If you will, run to the inn at the sign of the Golden Angel and fetch me a tinderbox that I left behind in my room. I'll give you a groat. No, a groat or grout. We'll have to look it up. I'll give you a groat for your trouble, but you must make all haste. All the haste you can." The boy wanted very much to get the groat, so off he ran to the Golden Angel, found the tinderbox as described in the soldier's room, and he brought it to him to his grated window. Now let us see what happened. Notice Hans Christian Andersen will literally pause the story and speak to his readers, because perhaps he liked telling the story first to children orally, and then later wrote them down after he saw the children's reactions. It's a good storyteller technique. You do it too. Outside, the town had a high gallows erected, which was surrounded by a quantity of soldiers and thousands of people who occupied the large field. The king and queen sat on a splendid throne that had been erected for them opposite the judges and the counselors. The soldier was already on the highest step of the ladder, and the executioner was just about to put the rope around his neck when the soldier implored that they grant him, poor sinner that he was, one last wish. He had, he said, a great longing to smoke a pipe of tobacco. And as this was the last act of grace he should ask for in all the world, he hoped that they would not refuse him. Because the prisoner always had the right to ask for one harmless favor before they executed him, and the king could not likely say no. So the soldier took out his flint and steel from the tinder box, of course, and presently he struck 1, 2, 3. All 3 enchanted dogs stood before him, the one with saucer eyes, as well as the other 2 with eyes like mill wheels and the round tower of Copenhagen. "Help! Help me out of my difficulty," called the soldier to the dogs. "Don't let them hang me. Immediately the 3 frightful dogs fell on the judge, fell on the counselors, seized one by the leg, another by the nose, and tossed them up in the air, so that, tumbling down, they were dashed to pieces on the ground. "We are not graciously pleased," cried the king. But the dogs cared little for that, and they took the king and the queen, one after another, toss them like the rest up in the air. Then the soldiers grew frightened, and the people called out, "Good soldier, you shall be our king, and you shall have the beautiful princess for your wife." Then the soldier seated himself in the king's carriage, and all 3 dogs danced in front of it and shouted, "Hurrah!" The boys in the street whistled. They whistled, and the soldiers presented arms. Now the princess was liberated from that brazen castle, and she was made queen, which she liked very much. Yes, ladies, you too. The wedding festivities lasted 8 days. Now that's a wedding for you. And the dogs seated themselves at table, and they stared with their great, big eyes. Great story. Can't you see how a young boy, such as I, long ago, would have enjoyed this story? I hope you enjoyed it too. And now you can tell it to your children and your grandchildren and your nieces and nephews and all those kids in your life who are a greater blessing than even these stories. But even every kid has a story. Remembering stories is something to keep us young at heart. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you missed any of the previous parts of the Tinder box, check the comment section. I'll give you a link. Have a wonderful weekend, and God bless. Bye, everyone.